Tyreek Hill is unquestionably one of the most feared men in professional football. Despite being just a part-time role player as a rookie for the Chiefs, Hill amassed 12 touchdowns, a Pro Bowl appearance, and a first-team All-Pro selection as arguably the most versatile and dangerous weapon in the entire NFL. Whether it was as an outside receiver, inside receiver, running back, punt returner, or kick returner, Hill was a threat to score every time he touched the ball. In fact, he scored once every 11 touches throughout the 2016 season, which for someone of his sample size at just 138 total touches, that is fantastic efficiency. When teams messed up and allowed him to get to the edge, it was over. His 4.25 speed, his lateral quickness and agility, and his pure instinct as a ball carrier made sure that nobody could catch him. Even routine sweeps that usually get 5 or 6 yards for most players were turned into 10-yard gains and first downs with Hill. His speed was truly a transformative asset for that entire offense, and in my opinion, his high ceiling and potential as a playmaker was likely why the Chiefs let go of Jeremy Maclin a few weeks ago. Keep in mind that they released Maclin one day after they finished their second OTA session of the offseason. My theory, and this is of course just a theory, is that Tyreek Hill showed up to practice, blew everybody out of the water, and the Chiefs coaching staff decided right then and there that they could not keep him bottled up as a second or third option any longer. People can talk about the money issue all they want, but I think the Chiefs realize that they need to make Hill a bigger focal point than he already is, because if he is going to keep scoring once every 11 times he touches the ball, then he really should be touching the ball as much as humanly possible. So with Maclin gone, Hill is going to be taking over the starting Z receiver position, meaning he'll be usually lined up off the line of scrimmage. And from that spot, the Chiefs can ensure that he will get those touches that he sorely needs. And what's also good about him being the Z is that as a smaller receiver, Hill is going to see less press coverage and less jams from that alignment because he's lined up off of the line of scrimmage. As you could probably guess, because of his size and play style, the less press coverage he faces, the better. We saw what a decent jam could do against Hill when Aqib Talib faced him in Week 12 on this go route. Talib landed a really good shot into Hill's ribs, which knocked him slightly off balance for a step or two, and that was all it took to make sure that Talib could stay with him downfield. Just slowing him down for those 2 or 3 steps, that's all Talib needed. And it's why playing sound bump and run coverage technique and having proper hand placement is so important against a player like Hill. If you miss that jam or miss that bump to slow him down during the release, he's gone. You will never ever recover against him if you miss that jam on the release, which coincidentally Talib found out later in that same game. On that play, Hill was able to swat away Talib's hands and he immediately accelerated past him and got downfield. And there was nothing Talib could do to stop him because he is nowhere near fast enough to recover from this. Hell, nobody's fast enough to recover from this against 4.25 speed. But luckily for him, the Broncos pass rush got to Alex Smith before he could progress to Hill in his reads, so this ball was never thrown. That's a touchdown off the board, and Talib knows that he dodged a bullet. Although I guess when you think about it, he was really due to dodge one eventually. But anyway, that's why most of the time when Hill is lined up as a Z receiver and he has that space to widen his release around the jam and neutralize it, corners just won't even attempt to press him at all because they know what will happen if they miss. They would end up on a highlight reel at some point, or worse, get posterized on national television like Aqib Talib almost did. To most people, jamming someone with Hill's speed is just not worth the risk of giving up a deep ball. So instead, they play off coverage and basically give him any yardage he wants underneath for free. Tyreek converted first down after first down for the Chiefs because for most defensive coordinators, they would rather give him automatic first downs than automatic touchdowns. And just personally speaking for me here, if I were the Chiefs coaching staff, I would be totally fine with that because Hill's yards after catch skills are so good that it's only a matter of time before he turns one of these easy gimmies underneath into a long touchdown anyway. If defenses are going to willingly give Hill more touches, that's a good thing because he is not just a one-trick pony. He doesn't need to catch a deep ball to make a big play. He can make a big play from any position on any route, even the free ones. Hell, he's so fast he can make a play on a deep ball even when the defense is committing to stopping that deep ball at all costs. You look at this 38-yard touchdown against the Saints, Hill's running a go route down the boundary against off-man coverage with no safety help over the top. The corner, Ken Crawley, is giving him all the cushion in the world, and he's even flipping his hips early to run with the potential deep ball. This 4 yards of spacing and this early flip of the hips is what real fear looks like. This alignment and this style of coverage is practically begging to be exploited for yet another easy first down on a curl route, but Crawley doesn't care. When the corner's willing to give you literally any route you want as long as it's not a go route, that's real fear. But Hill wants more than just that easy first down. He wants to establish that even if you completely sell out against his deep ball ability, he will still beat you over the top anyway just because he can. I mean, look at this acceleration. He ate that cushion immediately and ran by Crawley like he was nothing. He tracked the ball well through contact, made a terrific adjustment, and came down with it to finish the catch for the score. Crawley did everything in his power to stop this exact thing from happening, but against someone with Hill's speed, there's pretty much nothing you can do. The only corner I watched in the games that I charted who was really able to match Hill stride for stride downfield was Robert Alford from the Falcons, who is a monster athlete himself. Alford runs in the 4.3s, he jumps 40 inches, and he's got 32-inch arms. As far as physical specimens go for cornerbacks, he's one of the most impressive in the whole league. But not every team has a corner like Alford who has proven in the past that he can lock down deep ball specialists. Against most defenses, Hill is going to be able to stretch the field at will. And ironically, the only real limitation that he's going to have in that department is his quarterback. For an example of that, you go back to week 10 of last season against the Panthers. The Carolina defense does not have elite speed in their secondary, or at least not nearly as much as Atlanta does. They are one of the teams that I consider to be vulnerable to Hill's deep ball ability because they do not have any corners that can keep up with his speed. In the first quarter of this game, the Chiefs decided to test their lack of speed by having Hill run a seam route against a cover 3 hole defense. You know the old saying, if he's even, he's leaving? Well, Alex Smith saw that Hill was even with the corner before even getting up to his top speed, so he knew that Hill was leaving. Tyreek had almost 5 yards of vertical separation by the time the ball even got to him, but before he could make the catch for a 50-yard touchdown, it was intercepted by the deep safety. Why was this picked off, you ask? Because Smith, for reasons I have yet to understand, left this ball way inside where the safety could recover and make a play on it. Quarterbacks throw seam routes inside usually when they need to throw their receiver open, meaning putting the ball in a spot where the receiver's body acts as a natural shield between the ball and the cornerback. But there was zero need to do that here. Hill was already even with the corner early in the route and about to blow the doors off of him downfield, so throwing him open does nothing because he's already open. Not only that, but the deep safety Trey Boston was still on the hash when this ball was thrown, which should mean that anything inside this numbers to numbers area is off limits. Even the slowest free safeties in the league can get from hash to hash quickly, so nobody should be surprised that Boston was able to undercut this throw. In short, this ball should have never ever been thrown to this spot. If anything, Smith should have just placed it straight vertically over the top of Hill on the numbers where the safety couldn't get to it, and with Hill's speed, he should have been able to run under that ball easily to make the catch for the touchdown. This is 6 points off the board for Kansas City, and to me it's one of the prime examples of why Chiefs fans tend not to trust Alex Smith to win a Super Bowl. You've got a blazing fast receiver here with good hands and good ball tracking skills that could give this offense explosive plays downfield every single game. But if you don't have a quarterback that can consistently take advantage of the talent around him, then that talent will not produce to its full potential. We've seen Hill get wide open every week. We've seen him make jaw-dropping plays in almost every game he's appeared in. But I can't help but think about how many big plays did not get made on a week-to-week basis simply because of who Kansas City has under center. And to clarify, I'm not saying that Alex Smith is a bad quarterback that is ruining Tyreek Hill's potential. In fact, I think Hill is the kind of talent that can put up excellent numbers regardless of who he's catching passes from. But maybe, just maybe, interceptions like this one are why Andy Reid wanted to get a head start in developing Smith's replacement by drafting Patrick Mahomes. If Reid can mold a young, talented quarterback that can make this throw and can allow Hill to get the most of his deep ball ability, then maybe that eventual change in QB could unlock Hill's full potential as a number 1 receiving option. Until that moment comes though, I can still confidently say that Tyreek Hill is absolutely worth the hype. He's not an elite route runner, but he's a good route runner that knows how to use his physical gifts to get separation. He's also not the biggest guy in the world, but he is built like a running back and willing to take a hit. Because of that speed, quickness, small frame, and competitiveness with the ball in his hands, I like to compare him to kind of a supercharged hybrid of Steve Smith Sr. and Percy Harvin. Whether or not he can harness both of those skill sets to unleash his maximum potential is still unknown. But what is known is this: Andy Reid believes in this kid. He cut Jeremy Maclin, one of his favorite players ever, because he believes in this kid. You don't place that much faith in a second-year player unless you've seen something very special and have a very big plan for them. So buckle up, AFC West fans. If you thought Hill was hard to stop before, it's about to get a hell of a lot worse. And I'll just say this, thank God that I'm a Texans fan and that we're in a totally different division, because at the very least, that means that we don't have to play shit. Well, that's definitely gonna suck. But on that depressing note, I'll wrap up this week's show by thanking all of our wonderful Patreon supporters for this episode. The Film Room is made possible by all of your donations, and man, it was a strong week for donations. You guys all supported me in a huge way since the last episode was released, and I cannot thank you enough for that. So to reward you all for having my back and helping this channel grow, next week's show will be all about a player that has been requested over and over and over again since February, Giant safety Landon Collins. I promised you all that I would get to him, and next week that is finally happening. He had a defensive MVP caliber season in 2016, so we're going to dive into his skill set and talk about how he made such a huge jump from year 1 to year 2. So I'll have all of that for you guys next Thursday. Until then, later.